If you're stuck at a band 6.5 in IELTS writing and you want to increase your band score, then this video is the only video you will need. And I guarantee you that if you follow all the tips that I mentioned in this video, you will jump from a band 6 to a band 9 in IELTS writing. But before we dive into the video, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, share it with those who need it, subscribe and press the bell icon. Now we'll start with the first step, which is planning. We'll understand this step by a sample question. Scientists and technology experts seem to be more valued by modern society than musicians and artists. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So this is an opinion essay. Now a band 6 student will not plan anything. He will just write as soon as he sees the question. And when it comes to ideas, he'll try to impress the examiner by writing super complex ideas. Those ideas in which he has little knowledge and he just wants to impress the examiner. Whereas a band 9 student plans for at least 5 to 10 minutes. During this planning, he plans that what I'll be writing in the introduction, in the body paragraph, what type of ideas am I going to use, what I'll be writing in the conclusion. And talking about ideas, he doesn't try to impress the examiner by super complex ideas. Instead, he uses simple ideas with an explanation and an example. Band 6 student doesn't pay attention to the band descriptors. On the other hand, a band 9 student writes his essay according to the band 9 descriptors. Here comes the step 2, which is about band descriptors. Remember, your essay is going to be assessed on these bases, on these 4 criteria: task response, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and grammatical range and accuracy. And I'm going to tell you what a band 6 student does and what a band 9 student does. Starting with task response, a band 6 student writes under 250 words, which is the basic requirement of the essay. It's mentioned that you should write at least 250 words. And the band 6 student doesn't understand the question properly and he doesn't explain what was mentioned in the question. For instance, in this essay, scientists and technology experts seem to be more valued by modern society than musicians and artists. A band 6 student will only describe the reasons for why scientists and technology experts are more valued. Like they can cure diseases, they can introduce artificial intelligence. But he won't be mentioning this part, the second part, musicians and artists. He won't be saying why they are not valued as much as scientists and technology experts. And that's why his task response score will stay at a band 6. By contrast, a band 9 student will write from 250 words to 280 words. He can go a little higher, but this is the ideal word count because he doesn't want to waste a lot of time only on the words to like write 300 words or 350 words. And that student sufficiently explains the answer and understands it. He not only describes why scientists and technology experts seem to be more valued, but he also writes something about the second part, musicians and artists, because it is mentioned in the question. And task response says that you sufficiently address all parts of the question. Turning to coherence and cohesion, a band 6 student doesn't have much information about linking words. He uses them incorrectly. Like there is a word moreover, which is used to introduce something additionally, but he uses however in place of moreover, which is used to show contrast. Therefore, he uses them incorrectly. And he has a poor sense of paragraphing. He doesn't have a separate paragraph for the introduction, body paragraphs, and a conclusion. On the other hand, a band 9 student uses linking words properly. He knows the meaning of each and every linking word and he uses them accurately. Also, he has a separate paragraph for the introduction, a separate paragraph for body paragraph number 1, a separate paragraph for body paragraph number 2, and a separate paragraph for the conclusion, which makes it easy for the examiner to understand. Talking about lexical resource, which is another name for vocabulary. Here a band 6 student has a poor sense of paraphrasing and he doesn't use synonyms. Instead, he repeats the same words again and again. He also tries to use super complex vocabulary, the vocabulary which he doesn't himself understand and he isn't 100% sure. He has just heard it from somewhere or seen it written in an essay and he's using it. Resultantly, the synonym usually doesn't match the context of the essay and it is incorrect. So he just loses his marks thanks to super complex vocabulary. Whereas a band 9 student has a great sense of paraphrasing and he uses synonyms. He doesn't repeat the same words again and again. Don't get me wrong, you can repeat the words, but I would advise you to not repeat a word more than twice. And that student uses topic specific vocabulary instead of super complex words. For example, you're given an essay on obesity. So the topic specific vocabulary is sedentary lifestyle, overweight, physical activities. He uses this type of vocabulary. These words aren't super complex but are topic specific. Resultantly, his lexical resource score is a band 9. Finally comes the grammatical range and accuracy section. A band 6 student here tries to impress the examiner by using difficult tenses like present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous. These tenses are difficult than any other tense and I would advise you not to use them. Additionally, a band 6 student uses simple sentences and he's more like 80% or 70% of sentences are simple. He doesn't use many complex or compound sentences. He also makes lots of punctuation errors like comma and full stop. In comparison, a band 9 student just keeps it simple by using present indefinite, past indefinite, future indefinite. There is a variety here, look, present, past and future. He also tends to use complex sentences. Like he does use simple sentences, but most of his sentences are complex, which is a requirement of a band 9 grammatical range and accuracy. Furthermore, he doesn't make any punctuation errors or some punctuation errors like a little comma supplies, which doesn't affect the overall essay. We're done with the band descriptors. Now we'll be moving on to the introduction. This is the most common mistake made by a band 6 student, that he starts his essay with a background sentence. Remember that background sentences will not get you any sort of additional band score and you will just waste your time thinking of one because they have no relationship with the essay. The band 6 student also doesn't have a clear position. He doesn't state whether we agree or disagree, just like in this essay. Additionally, he uses memorized sentences. Like this essay will discuss both views and give my opinion. This essay will discuss both the advantages and disadvantages and give my opinion. These type of sentences will get you a lower band score, not a higher one. While a band 9 student doesn't use any background sentence, he simply starts his essay with paraphrasing the question statement. Then he directly answers the question with a clear position. He clearly states that he agrees or disagrees with a reason. And also he doesn't use any memorized sentences. Let's move on to the body paragraphs. A band 6 student here tends to overgeneralize the statement, which is a point of a band 7 task response, which means that no matter how good you write your essay, if you overgeneralize statements, you won't be getting above a band 7 in the task response. Now what do you mean by overgeneralize? Let me explain it with an example. Men are physically stronger than women. Now this sentence might sound correct, but this is an overgeneralized statement because this is not always true. Women in mixed martial arts or wrestling might be stronger than men. So you are just overgeneralizing the statement and reducing your task response score. Using lots of ideas with little explanation and no example is another quality of a band 6 student. Here in the body paragraph, that band 6 student describes 2 or 3 different ideas and doesn't explain them sufficiently. He also doesn't include any relevant example. While the band 9 student, instead of overgeneralizing the statement, uses modal verbs that show some kind of doubt, like may, might, can, could, or they use the words usually or generally. For instance, men are usually physically stronger than women. Now, this is a correct statement. This way, your statement won't be overgeneralized. The Band 9 student uses a single idea and explains it sufficiently with a relevant example. I mean that he only uses one idea in a single body paragraph, explains it enough, and just then writes an example. That's the way of a Band 9 body paragraphs. Finally comes the conclusion. Here a Band 6 student uses new ideas, those ideas that were not mentioned both of the body paragraphs. And again, he doesn't have a clear position, like he doesn't state whether he agrees or disagrees. Whereas a Band 9 student writes the summary of both of the body paragraph points. He clearly states whether he agrees or disagrees, and he has a defined position with a reason. For instance, in this essay, he doesn't only describe why scientists and technology experts are valued more, but he also describes in the conclusion, in a single sentence, why musicians and artists are not valued as much. This is the conclusion of a Band 9 student. Okay, so in this video, I just discussed the differences between a Band 6 student and a Band 9 student. Besides that, I teach classes online as well as physical. And if you're interested, you can contact me at this WhatsApp number. Take care. Allah.